Hey guys, it's Mrs. Ash here again. I'm back with part two of our notes from task one, and this is actually video two of part two of task one. Sorry about that cough. And the last thing that we're going to talk about on this slide is our magma intrusions. Of our magma intrusions is our bathyllus. And if you look at the differences in these pictures, so remember our sills, nice flat intrusions. Our dikes cut across at a horizontal, or I'm sorry, at a vertical, usually somewhat at an angle. Our bathyllus are really huge intrusions that kind of become great big globs. They're often called bathyllus or laccolith, depending on how they're exposed. If you've ever had the luxury of going to Yosemite, El Capitan, that huge piece of granite that you see is a huge laccolith, which would be one of these things. And so, really, what they do is instead of coming in as more of a tube, they come up as a giant intrusion. So, think of this as like part of a volcano that started to swell off to erupt, but maybe never necessarily did. So, this huge thing of magma came up and then solidified. And our bathyllus and laccolith are really what are responsible for our uplifts. So, if you look on this next slide, you have this big intrusion, not a cut across like a dike or a sill, but this huge blob. And it came up and it just bumped up that rock around it. And that's your uplift. So we have our rock layer and then we have that magma and it just bumps it up. So it forms a hill similar to folding, but instead of actually squeezing the layers and folding them that way, this pushes it up and applies pressure from the bottom and starts to bend the rock layers or dome the rock layers that way. So that's how our uplifts work. Now, and then our last thing, which I'm looking at, is not on our slide sheet. So you need to jot this down someplace, any place that you can get it, is our unconformity. So jot it down over here on the side, jot it down at the bottom of the front page, wherever you need to put it, but you need to have this down. Unconformities happen whenever we have erosion that occurs and we end up with huge missing layers of rock. So if you look at this layer, if you look at kind of if we explain what happened here, so we had our law of superposition, so we've just laid our layers down nice and flat. Then we folded them. That's how there's that curve. Based on this picture, it kind of looks like there could have been some uplift that's there that we don't see. It could have just been a fold, but whatever happened, we folded our layers. And then we had erosion that happened, and so it washed away that whole top. So we have that kind of swervy line that got washed away. That could have been an unconformity, is often caused by a glacier that just comes along and just tears away a whole bunch of the rock layer. It could have been from a river or a lake, an ocean, something like that, that slowly dissolved it away. But whatever it was, we just have all of these layers that were up here. So we had originally 5 layers. Now we only have 1, 2, 3, and part of 4. Layer 5 is missing entirely, and we're just missing some. That rock layer just wiped away. And then law of superposition starts to happen again. We start to lay down those new layers flat.
Please excuse this interruption.
Hold on just a second while the interruption happens.
Please release the freshman soccer girls at this time. Please release the freshman soccer girls at this time.
We start to lay down new rock layers, so these are laid down flat again. That's how we know that they're younger than the unconformity. They're nice and flat. They're all there. They're filling in those gaps that were created by that erosion. So remember, on your notes page somewhere, I expect you to have unconformity jotted down, an explanation and a little picture to remind you of what that is. Now, I want you to pause my video for just a second, and I want you to fill out this diagram. It's in the conclusion box, so go through, and I want you to look and see what you decided were the different layers that happened, the order that they happened in. I will tell you one thing, it says erosion on your events bank. It would really be erosion unconformity. So I want you to stop what you're doing, pause that, fill that out, and then come back in just a second, unpause me, and then we'll go through it. So once you finish that video, or once you finish doing that conclusion, let's kind of talk through it. So if I'm looking at this and I'm looking from oldest to youngest, that's how we always look at our rock layers. We always start on the bottom with our oldest. When I look at that, my oldest layer is going to be layer D here. It would have been laid down first. There's nothing else that we can see below it. On top of D, we would have had layer A laid down, and then we would have had a fold. And we know that we have a fold because our rock layers aren't nice and flat again. So something happened, we squeezed those rocks, and we started to fold our layers. After our fold, we had magma intrusion E that cuts across. We know that it was after the fold because magma intrusion E is straight. It's vertical compared to layer D. If it had happened before the fold, it would be crooked as well. But since it comes across vertical instead of at a tilt, we know that it happened after the fold. Then after E was laid down, we had some sort of erosion or nonconformity, so we have something, we're missing rock layers. Don't know why we're missing them, but we're missing rock layers. Then we would have laid down layer B. That comes in nice and flat. And then finally, we would have C, that magma intrusion that cuts across all of it. And part of why we know that it's a magma intrusion that cuts across all of it is because it goes all the way up to the surface. So again, your layers would have been D, then A, then a fold, then E, then your unconformity, probably caused by erosion, then B, and then your intrusion C. Okay. Now, when you finish this, go back through, work through the notes again if you need to. If there was something you missed whenever you were filling it out, whatever you need to do, work through those notes and then come check with me. You'll have a little quiz that I'll give you to kind of make sure that you understand part 2, and then you'll be able to move on to part 3, which is our geologic time. Thanks, guys.